Welcome to Power Up with NSA North Texas, a show about finding, hearing, and maximizing valuable insights from some of the world's leading business and lifestyle speakers. Each week, international keynote speaker and National Speakers Association North Texas chapter president Betty Coffey sits down with some of the most exciting speakers this side of the globe to hear from these subject matter experts what's making a difference in business today and learn all there is to know about people, profits, and productivity in business from some of the world's best motivators. This is Power Up with NSA North Texas. And now, here's your host, Betty Coffey.
Hi everyone, this is Betty Coffey, President for the National Speakers Association North Texas Chapter, and I want to welcome each of you to our podcast today. The NSA National Speakers Association is the premier organization for professional speakers. Our members reach audiences every day as thought leaders, as authors, as consultants, as coaches, as trainers, as educators, and we do it every day for our clients. This show is about some of the cutting-edge topics, some of the issues, some of the questions that businesses have today. And our own subject matter experts that are on this show have the solutions and the answers to some of those questions. I'm so excited today to have my guest as Vicki Hitzges, right? Hitzges.
Close enough.
All right,
Hitzges.
good.
Uh-huh.
Vicki is an absolute superstar speaker. And her topic today is really exciting because it's how to have a positive work environment, continuing work environment, how to have a positive work environment. When people start a job, you know how you feel? When you start a job, you're all rah-rah and gung-ho and ready to set the world on fire. And then reality kind of sets in, and sometimes you lose that passion and that enthusiasm. Vicki has worked with companies to show corporate audiences how to get that first day enthusiasm back and keep it rocking and rolling. Vicki is a former Dallas TV news anchor who also co-hosted the Dallas Cowboys weekly TV show Special Edition. She then went on to be a publicist for the world, to be on the publicist for the world's then top motivational speaker, Zig Ziglar. Wow, what a job. Zig admired Vicki's creativity and urged her to speak, and he became her own mentor. That's valuable. He became Vicki's own mentor, and within just a few months, she was speaking around the world. So, Vicki, enough of Betty talking, and let's get into you. I'm so happy. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Betty.
I'm so happy to have you here. So, tell me, how did you get started speaking?
Well, you covered an awful lot of it right there. Do I look at you? Do I look at the camera?
No, you look at me. Just go ahead and look at me every so often. When you want to look at our audience, look at the camera. There you go.
Okay, good. I had a background in television, and I'd been on TV for quite a long time. And I had started in Dallas and worked in Dallas. And then I went to NBC in Corpus Christi for a year. Mm-hmm. And got married, came back to Dallas, and assumed they would be so delighted to have me back. They weren't. There's 3 jobs. There's ABC, NBC, and CBS, and they had anchors. And so I didn't know what to do with myself. I knew how to get people on TV. Uh-huh. And so I became a publicist, and one of my clients was Zig Ziglar. And after a while, he said to me, "You're creative. You should speak."
Wow.
And I thought, yes, I should. So here I am.
That's wonderful. So talk to me about your topic, how to have a positive work environment. Talk to me about why that's so important and what you can bring to an organization with that.
Oh, I think that's an enormously important topic. Here's why I think that.
Okay.
I have had bosses, as have you, that are just fabulous. And you've had bosses that are not. And everybody knows that people don't quit jobs. They quit their boss.
That's true. That's very true. They choose a different leader. That's true.
If you are happy at work, you want to stay. And if you're happy at work, you produce more. All the studies show that. And you attract customers, and customers want to be there. You love to go to a place that's happy. Let me give you an example. Way back in the 1900s, when yogurt was a big deal, frozen yogurt. Do you remember when frozen yogurt was on every single corner?
Yeah, I sure do. I loved it.
Do you? Yeah, me too.
Loved it.
My parents lived in Denver, and they had, I hit this microphone. They had frozen yogurt shops everywhere. But my parents would drive fairly far to go to this one particular yogurt shop. And when I was up there, I'd go with them. The reason they went to that yogurt shop was because there was an Asian man who ran that shop who just lit up when anybody walked in.
Oh, that's nice.
And the cool thing that I noticed was, here's all these yogurt shops, I mean, just everywhere. People would stand in line in his shop because he would be so happy to see you. And he'd greet you. And it was fun to go. And it wasn't the yogurt, it was him. And the turnover rate was low. Do you know that the turnover rate in fast food restaurants is 150%?
Wow. I believe that.
150.
I
That
believe
means
that.
if you hire 20 people, you go through 30 people in a year. He didn't have turnover problems and he didn't have customer problems.
That's a cool story. And that's so true. It's so true because you will go back. It's not a yogurt's yogurt, right?
Yeah.
But you go to a place, you feel good, you feel recognized, where everybody knows your name.
Yes, yes,
Like the
exactly.
Cheers bar. But this is yogurt. But at the same time, you want to feel good. And keeping that positive environment draws clients in. I love that.
That's exactly right.
Vicki, you've been speaking for a while. And what do you think makes a very successful speaker? Because you've traveled all over the world and you're speaking. Talk to me about what makes a successful speaker resonate with the client and their audience.
Well, Betty, here's something I think many, many, many speakers don't know. Mm-hmm. When an audience comes in for a corporate event, they usually have to be there. Not that they want to be there. They didn't buy tickets. They have to be there. And so the challenge for the speaker is to turn an audience that has to be there into an audience that wants to be there. And the way you do that is you create a need. You don't tell them why what you're going to tell them can help them or how they're going to use it. You tell them why what you're going to tell them is something they need to hear. Let me give you an example. I was on an airplane not too long ago, and I sat next to the vice president of an insurance company, and he was coming to town. Now, hang with me. The first part of this is a little bit of a sleeper, but hang with me.
I got confidence in you.
He was coming to town to speak to buyers of his insurance. Now, his buyers, he only sold to school districts, counties, and cities. School districts, counties, and cities. His competition was other insurance companies and the state pool. The state pool is an insurance company run by states. Mm-hmm. When the state runs out of money for a school district, for school districts, tough. You know, they're just, it's a gamble. It's a better rate, but it's a gamble. So I said to him, how are you going to start your talk? It's all procurement people who buy insurance. And he said, well, I start the same way every time. And he's vice president. He's successful. He said, my name is Joe Blow. I work for the Acme Insurance Company. We've been in business for 45 years, and I stopped him. And I said, what if you didn't start that way? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, and I was making this up on the spot, and I told him, I said, this may not be the be-all, end-all of introductions, but what if you started like this? What if you said, imagine you're sitting at your desk and all of a sudden your cell phone goes off and you start to reach for it and all of a sudden your desk phone starts ringing. And then before you can decide which one to answer, all of a sudden there's a knock on the door and you look up and your secretary's standing there and she says to you, whoa, you are in trouble. The president is looking for you and he's mad. We're getting sued. You know when the Yankee school burned down? They're not covered. They're not covered and they're suing us. And it is all your fault. Well, you might be surprised, but that happens far more often than you might realize. Fortunately, it's not going to happen to you because you chose this session. He went, oh, and he grabbed a pen and he started taking notes. Now, when I tell speakers that introduction, they said, well, you started with a story. Well, I did start with a story, but it wasn't the story that made that work. I started with a story that created a need. Mm-hmm. You need to hear this talk because it's going to keep you from losing your job. It's going to keep your schools, your counties, and your municipalities from not being insured.
And that all makes the difference. There you go.
It makes all the difference.
A good story is so important. It can get
a good
grabs
need is
yes, a good need for that story. But it there's so many uses for a good story, and you come by storytelling authentically. Give our audience an idea, because you're very, very good at it. You're a tremendous storyteller, but you come by it very authentically. Tell us how you came about storytelling.
I think storytelling is caught. It's not taught. I've been to
That's
classes.
An interesting way of thinking about it.
Well, I've been to classes and I hear, oh, this is the story arc. And I think, if you don't just feel a story in your gut, learning the arc, I don't think is going to help. You feel a story. A story has to have tension. A story has to, and you got to feel that. My father was an amazing preacher, one of the best. And I don't just say that because I was his daughter. I mean, he was acknowledged as that. He was an amazing preacher. He made the Bible come alive. You could feel the power of God. You could feel the love of God. He was an outstanding storyteller. I loved to listen to my father tell stories. He was raised in the slums of New York, and when he put me to bed, he would tell me what it was like to be raised in the ghetto, which was totally not my world. It was so interesting. I'll tell you just a quick tip. When you're riding the subways in New York and you see the signs, beware of pickpockets. I can't say the words. Thank you. Beware of pickpockets. Who puts those signs up? Pickpockets. Because a man will instinctively reach for his wallet to make sure it's still there. And then the pickpockets will know where his wallet is. Isn't that interesting?
It's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. So one thing he taught me is you don't retell a story, you relive a story. I'll give you a quick example of that. My father, at the end of his life, had Parkinson's. My mother, precious mother, would have to get up in the middle of the night and help him. He'd often fall in the bathroom and she'd have to get him up. It'd take a long time, and she always had a sweet attitude about it. One day I was there, one night I was spending the night, and she got up and I said, "Mom, can I help you?" And she said, "No, it's okay. I'm grateful I can do this." Now that's retelling a story. Here's reliving the story. I was asleep. I was sound asleep, and I heard the washing machine going. It was next to my bed. And I got angry at God. I thought, how can you take these two precious people and let them go through this? How can you do that to them? Again and again and again, my dad would fall. And I mean, he fell through the sheetrock. He'd leave a place where his face was. He busted out teeth. My mother, who had 2 replaced hips and a broken knee that had to be replaced also, would have to help him up, and it took her an hour. And then she had to change all the sheets. She did that every single night. And my brother had said to her, "Mom, you can't keep doing this." Well, that day I had gone to Kmart and I'd bought her plastic sheet covers that go over the mattress. So I was angry. I was just mad at God. And I said to her, Mama, how can I help you? And she opened the door and she was happy. And she said, oh, Vicki, everything's just fine. And she said, I am so happy. God is so good. And I said, what do you mean, Mom? And she said, oh, Vicki, God is so good. She said, just today, you put that plastic over those mattresses. All I had to do was rip the sheets off and put new sheets on and just put Lysol on that plastic covering. And she said, I think that's a miracle, Vicki.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, here she is. She's in her late 80s. She's changing sheets. She's putting Lysol on the bed. She's helping my dad up. She's missing her sleep. And she's thankful. And I thought to myself, who would you rather be? An angry person or a person who's grateful? Here's my mother who's entering dementia, and she's still teaching me about joy and grace. That's the difference in retelling and reliving.
It's so different. It's so impactful. Telling a story is telling a story. But when you relive it, you have tears in your eyes. Right now,
Yeah, I
sweetheart.
feel it because
You
I
got
feel
tears.
it again.
But when you relive that story, oh my gosh, your entire audience is right there. They're identifying with it. They're feeling all the emotions that you're feeling and that your mom was feeling, and it's so much more prevalent and important.
Yeah,
And
it is for everybody. Everybody goes through it.
What
again.
a wonderful job. What a great job.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job explaining that. So your talks, I'm going to get off another topic here for a second.
Okay, let's lighten this up.
Lighten it up a little bit. Your talks are very interactive with when you speak with your audiences. How do you do that, and why do you do it?
Well, that's changed since I started speaking. When I first started speaking, it was, and I'm sorry to use a trite thing, sage from the stage, but that's what it was. It was somebody on stage speaking to an audience. Mm-hmm. Now, people like to have things broken up. Not every single group, but almost every single group. I would say if you're going to air, have it be interactive. I saw Zig change, and towards the end, I saw him in the Morton Meyerson Auditorium do activities. And I thought,
it's a pretty big auditorium.
A darn big auditorium, thousands of people, thousands and thousands of people. And I watched, and I was way up in the back of the balcony, and everybody was participating. And I thought, oh. And so it never occurred to me that when I was with 500 or 600 or 700, I couldn't do it. And then when I was with 3,000 or 4,000, I couldn't do it. And so now I've only spoken to 10,000 once, but I wouldn't hesitate with 10,000. It's you have to. Well, I'll tell you one secret. Divide them into groups before you tell them what they're going to do, because the power of a group think.
They think differently, more productively.
Well,
the whole thing flows.
They
better.
force each other into doing it. If there's somebody going, I'm not going to do this, well, they will if they're in a group, and then be confident and explain it well, and people like it. I have this activity where people give each other compliments. I have done that over and over and over with engineers. If I tell the meeting planner I'm going to do it, they'll go, no, not with this group, not with this group. But I don't, by the way. I just do it. And then the engineers who are not a compliment giving group or a compliment receiving group, all men will come up later and they'll have tears in their eyes, and they'll thank me for it, because they don't get compliments, and we need compliments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Last question. What have you ever done that's been the absolutely most daring thing you ever did? When you were
That's
speaking?
easy.
Okay, what was it?
It was
daring
recently.
thing.
It was last year. I did a magic trick.
You did?
I did a magic trick, and I learned it online. It was a kid's magic trick, but I mean, it was like walking on a tightrope for me. It was so hard. And then I taught my audience how to do it. Magicians aren't supposed to do that, but I did, and they loved it. So it went great. But I had to practice and practice a kid's magic trick, mind you. I had to practice it and practice it and practice it and practice it.
So the bottom line there is you were very innovative. You went outside the square and you did something different. The audience loved it, and they probably caught on to your enthusiasm right off the bat.
Well,
I'm
I like
sure.
the way you put it. I was very innovative.
Yes, you were innovative. So very quickly, what can a client expect when they give you a call and they want to work with you? What can they expect?
When you say that, what do you mean? What happens? What's the process?
What happens? Yeah. What's the process, and what do you live by? I'm sure you're very customized, that you're very creative with the client and do what they, find out everything that they're going to need, what their objectives are.
I will absolutely do that. I want to know, what do you want from a speaker? How do you want them to feel, think? What do you want? Is there any particular thing you're struggling with? And then, depending on what the talk is, it doesn't always work. Depending on what the talk is, I will customize it so much that I will call people in your audience, and unbeknownst to them, I'll call about people in your audience so that I can brag on them. It's always positive. Or I'll call your vendors and find out about your company so I can brag about people in your audience.
That's a powerful tool.
It is.
Love that. Love that. Okay. All right. Now you have a couple books, and I want our audience to hear and to see those. The first is Attitude is Everything.
Yes, this is my first book, and I think this was a God thing. This book sold out the first day it came out in print, 5,000 copies, and it's in I don't know what, 20th printing. It sold all over the world. It's just been a wonderful book.
It's all about staying positive, right?
Yes, and people love this. They just love it. And then, and it sold largely. I don't want to take all the credit for it because I had a fabulous publisher. And then the second book, similar format, is called Stuck on Stop, How to Quit Procrastinating. And everybody needs that.
I love that. I love that. So how can our audience get your books?
Go to my website.
Okay.
It's
Go ahead.
KeynoteSpeaker.com. KeynoteSpeaker.com.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about how they can contact you. KeynoteSpeaker.com is your website.
Yes.
And if they want to get a hold of you via email, that is
Vicki with an I, VICKI at KeynoteSpeaker.com. If you just go to KeynoteSpeaker.com, you can't mess it up. My phone number's there, my name's there, everything's there.
and phone number.
214-536-1888. That also is on KeynoteSpeaker.com.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we have a little bit of extra time, and I want to ask you this question. Do you think, when you speak to your audiences, do you think attention spans have shortened? Because you've got a very interesting answer to this. Have attention spans shortened?
No, I don't think they have. I mean, everybody says we have.
Everybody says they have.
We have the attention
what's
span
your
of a
thoughts on
gold
that?
fish. No, and here's why I say that. How long is a major epic movie now?
Oh, they've gone down. There used to be, I remember Ben-Hur or something like that was like 3 hours.
But still, they have, but still, let's sit there for 2 hours
Yeah.
and just sit there watching a story. A good talk creates a need, and then it has progress and movement. And if people know that you are going to fill a need for them, and that you're going somewhere and they feel it, and you're not just muddling around and you're not real sure where you're going and they don't know where you're going, then, man, they're out of there. But if you tell good stories and you make them laugh and they know you're taking them someplace, they'll stick with you.
I love it. And your stories are going to make them stick. I have no doubt in my mind.
Thank
no
you.
doubt. Okay, so if you want to leave, this has been fantastic with you, Vicki, today. It's been absolutely great. And if you want to leave some words of wisdom, the last words of wisdom with our audience, what would they be?
I think I would get this from Ian McLaren. He was a Scottish preacher. He said, "People are having an uphill climb. Therefore, remember to be kind."
Oh, I like that. We could use that every day.
Yeah.
People are always in an upward climb. Remember to be kind.
Remember to be kind.
Love that. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much. You've done a great job. And our audience out there, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah.
Remember, it's all about you. I want you to be powering up, to be better, to be faster and stronger. Thank you for joining us today. And Vicki, fantastic job. I want to hear more about storytelling.
Thank you, precious thing.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you next week. Thank you. Good job.
Thanks for listening to Power Up with NSA North Texas. To find out more about today's guest or NSA North Texas, visit www.speaker.org. To find out more about Power Up, visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/groups/NSA North Texas. And to find out more about Betty, visit www.bettycoffeepresents.com.